I'm going to talk about a player today that many people have a lot of feelings on, have been asking consistently about, and that is Kike Hernandez. Now, I want to try to straddle two lines here. I want to say that I love Kike Hernandez. I don't have a problem with the Dodgers continually re-signing him, basically for like 4 series out of the year, which is the playoffs. That's essentially what 3 series. That's essentially what it boils down to. Kike Hernandez at this day and age, or at this point in time, is no longer a good baseball player, at least from an everyday perspective. If you just look at his numbers, they have been deteriorating at an alarming rate. And I guess you could make the argument that he was never really that good. Let's say his peak regular season or just WAR season was in 2021 with the Boston Red Sox with the 4.9 WAR, which is a great season. Don't get me wrong, 4.9 WAR is fantastic. But since that point, it has just been on a steady decline. Now, 2024, he did have an uptick, 1.3 WAR. He also had a lot more at-bats and just more opportunities. But outside of that, he has truly been just a replacement level player and is only a big part of our team in the playoffs, which, look, for the Dodgers, we have the luxury to optimize purely for the playoffs because that's the roster that we have. But one of the things that I hear people talk about all the time is wanting to see the young guys get an opportunity. Well, Kike Hernandez plays a position, the outfield. He's also an infielder. That kind of blocks the opportunity for players to get more playing time. And I think for me, when I think about either to understand what the asset is or if it's a player that we believe could become an everyday player for us, Kike Hernandez is just basically taking up a spot for them to be able to play. Now, if the ultimate goal, which it always is for the Dodgers, is to win the World Series, that's a gamble you take 10 out of 10 times because you don't know how a young guy like a Zaire Hope or Josue DePaula is going to do in that situation. I could easily argue, well, if we never give them that opportunity, how are we going to know what they have or they don't have? So obviously, those kinds of questions are the ones that Andrew Friedman has to contemplate all the time. But one area in which you can just see that Kike Hernandez has been in decline is that bat speed. This is something that people talked about a lot with Mookie Betts. And let me tell you, Mookie Betts was really, really bad last year. Mookie Betts' bat speed over the past 2 seasons has been at 69 miles per hour on average. Kike Hernandez has gone from 72.3 in 2023, 71.7 in 2024, and 71.1 in 2025. Now, why does bat speed matter? Well, generally, high bat speed is an indicator of probably being good offensively in Major League Baseball. When you got fastballs coming at you at over 100 miles per hour from almost every single pitcher these days, you have to have a good bat speed to be able to get on that ball. Otherwise, you're going to be swinging and missing a ton. And look, for Kike Hernandez, the defensive flexibility at this point is probably what he offers a lot more than even the offense because, again, the bat only really comes alive in the postseason, which for him, he is Mr. October for Dodgers fans. That is all good. But when I think about this team and think about how loaded we are at the top, I do feel like there's potential opportunity for us to get some of these young guys mixed in with our big names to be able to see, can they perform at that level? And we might get some immediate opportunities at second base, whether it's Kimez Hung or Alex Freeland or Andy Ibanez, who just got DFA today, but will probably most likely be back with the Dodgers after he clears that because of that $1.2 million salary or $2.1 million salary. In any case, the Dodgers do have a lot of opportunity for young guys, especially infielders, to come and play. Now, I would love for them to give them that opportunity. Now, I don't expect Kike Hernandez to be signed even once the season starts. I could see him missing spring training. Now, last year, I think he got signed right before spring training. Maybe that's the same timeline that we follow. But I, for one, would love to see some of these young guys get some at-bats and some opportunities, even if it is, again, to raise their trade value, because that's something the Dodgers have shown that they are very willing to do. I just want to see them in the mix. Now, guys like Kike Hernandez, they might fall by the wayside like a Chris Taylor did, like an Austin Barnes did. Now, Kike obviously has a little bit more of a reputation as a big game player, and so I think that really carries him. But again, for the Dodgers, I think at some point we do need to look forward and can't continually just rely on these older guys to get us through all these postseasons. Because we're going to come to a time eventually where if they're gone and we haven't built up the next kind of generation of players to step in, we're going to be in a tough position with Shohei where he might be the only one that we can trust offensively. Now, maybe we just go out and sign some people, which definitely has with the Dodgers' MO. But with the new salary cap probably coming, I'm curious about what that flexibility for the Dodgers is going to look like. So I don't want to make this a whole let's not sign Kike Hernandez thing, because that is not what this is about by any means. But it is something to think about as we try to roster build, both for the now and for the future. Is that spot that Kike Hernandez is occupying an opportunity for a young player to be able to step in and really show what he has maybe become an everyday player. The best way, in my opinion, to build any team at any level is to maximize on the young guys who are super, super cheap, especially in baseball where you have arbitration years where you can just sign them up for a very low number. Now, you've seen the trend over the last few years where teams are just signing these guys outright to go past the arbitration period, give them a little bit of a discount post arbitration, but overpay for now. I do think that's the model that a lot of teams should follow because the problem is they try to keep costs at a low, and then when these players who are all-stars or one of the best players at their position get to free agency, now the bidding war starts with the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers coming in over the top with huge money that some of these teams can't afford. I think the better thing is probably to lock up these guys, make them names that your fan base can become attached to, buy their jerseys to root for, and helps you build the team that way with a more long-term view versus always trying to minimize the cost. So for the Dodgers, I think this is a great opportunity for them to try to do that as well. Not necessarily sign a guy long-term, but just to see what they have. If they pop, they become a trade piece that we could easily move and get some more talent to come in to help bolster this team, wherever the holes may be at the trade deadline for the World Series push. Andrew Friedman has said he does not want to be a buyer at the deadline. He says that all the time, but the Dodgers, they always do what they need to do. If we end up having to be a buyer again at the deadline, that is probably what we're going to be doing. For the Dodgers and Kike Hernandez, a signing feels imminent. All the kind of flirting around and comments and statements that people have been saying point to the fact or the idea that Kike Hernandez is probably coming back. But I am someone that would like to potentially see the Dodgers bring in some of the young blood. And again, I think this is a sentiment that is echoed by a lot of the fan base. We constantly are shipping these guys out for proven talent, which the results have been what they are, have been pretty successful. I don't think people are necessarily complaining about that. But baseball is it's one of those sports where you want to have that emotional attachment to a guy that you drafted, brought up to your system, and then debuts with the major league team and becomes a key contributor. This is why guys like Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger remain so close to people's hearts because that is what we were able to do with them. The Dodgers are in a different place right now where that hasn't been the case for a while. Clayton Kershaw, brought up by the Dodgers, retired with the Dodgers. Will Smith, brought up by the Dodgers, is one of the best catchers, in my opinion, the best catcher with the Dodgers. Corey Seager has left. Cody Bellinger has left. Jock Peterson has left. A lot of our guys have left at this point, and I think the Dodgers fan base is craving that opportunity, that ability to look at a player and say, that's our guy. We drafted him. We've been with him since day one. And there's a lot of value to that. So for the Dodgers, if we could do that with the Zaire Hope, with the Josue DePaula. Now, there are some guys that we've traded for. Tibbs, Sirota. I mean, even Zaire Hope was a trade. So maybe people won't count that. I think Dodgers fans would count that. But in any case, River Ryan, that's a great example of a player who people are extremely excited about because he is someone that we drafted. He actually played a few different positions and then settled in on pitcher. He's someone that people are excited about, want to see, and are really excited for this upcoming season, including myself. And so the more opportunities that the Dodgers can do that, I think is good for the team. It's good for the fan base. It's good for roster building. And again, I'm not saying Kike Hernandez is the only logjam for that, but he is an example of a player who ultimately is there for a few months of the season. Outside of that, doesn't bring a ton of value to the team on the team side, not necessarily camaraderie, all of those intangibles that you want to talk about. So for the Dodgers, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I can't wait for spring training to start, see who gets opportunities, see who gets at bats. It'll be really revealing, I'm sure, over the few weeks that they are in Arizona, have all that settled down. So we'll see what happens. Kike Hernandez, I'm sure you guys love him. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys want him back? As always, let's go Dodgers.